Hi Dan.
Hi Nick.
We're at the BOA, or the end of the BOA in Liverpool, which has been a brilliant meeting, but it got me thinking about the odd sock study, which I obviously have a bit of an interest in. And I thought I'd ask you some questions about what you would do if you were the ED doctor who first sees the patient, or you're the orthopaedic doctor who first sees the patient. So how do you talk to a patient and their family about being involved in the study?
I think what's most important is if you're the ED doctor or if you're the first orthopaedic surgeon, and if you're not sure about whether it's eligible, what you definitely shouldn't say is, oh my gosh, this is the worst fracture I've ever seen, it definitely needs surgery. Or, oh my gosh, this is such a minor fracture, it definitely doesn't need surgery. So I think if you're unsure, don't offer an opinion. Just say, oh, we need to think about this, and we need to, I'll ask someone else. And then you can phone a friend and have a sensible conversation. If there is true equipoise, and if it's one of those fractures that is eligible for the study, then I think you should explain to the family that there's lots of uncertainty around the world, certainly around the UK, about how best to manage these. And the best way forward is to put them in a study. And so the study is going to, so patients inside a study generally have better outcomes than those outside a study. And therefore I'd explain that there's some uncertainty. We're going to put them in a study where they're fairly going to be allocated between the two treatments. So it's all about the fairness, and this is the fairest way, and patients inside the study have the best outcomes with the trial effect.
So we're talking about fair allocation instead of saying randomisation. Would that be something you say?
So we're going to fairly allocate them between the two treatments using a process called randomisation. But we're not going to toss a coin or roll a dice. And we're not going to do that. It's all about fairness.
So we're not letting the computer decide. We're fairly allocating to both options.
It's all about fairness.
And patients don't like the word random. Is that right? And they don't like a computer deciding.
They don't like trial because trial is what happens to guinea pigs. They like study. They don't like they like the idea of fairness, but they don't like all the trivialization or all the complication or kind of it not being someone. But they like the idea that it's fair. They get that.
Perfect. What if they say no? What if we talked about the study and they say no?
So I think if someone says no, it's perfectly legitimate to say no, but it's also perfectly legitimate to explore that. And so it's also perfectly legitimate to say, oh, okay, that's really interesting. Like, why have you come to that conclusion? Because sometimes it may be that their Auntie Doris once had an ankle fracture and was treated a certain way, and they think that's appropriate. But of course, you can scratch the surface a little bit, and you realise that Auntie Doris had a completely different fracture and was completely not the same situation. So even the families that perhaps initially might say no, I think once you've scratched the surface, you can bring about half of them back and say, look, there is a lot of uncertainty. You know, why have you made that decision? And let's think about that a little bit.
And if you weren't sure whether Auntie Doris was too old or not, or you wanted more information about this in terms of how to pitch perfectly that conversation, where can we find more information?
So you can look at the website. So the website's got more information. So the Odd Sock Study website, and below this we're going to put a magic link, which is going to link to all the videos and all the materials. I'm not sure what that was. All the videos.
Where the link's going to go. Go here.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. All the videos and all the materials, so they can see what's going on.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.